Alright, hey guys, welcome to another video. We got a bit of a weird weather day, but typical New England. You know, we're starting to taper into fall. Can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, we got the IE exhaust ready to go. Still got to work on a small exhaust leak, but otherwise it's pretty much what you'd expect for noise. And speaking of noise, it's got plenty of that. It's really loud with the valves open. We're gonna take it through Portsmouth, probably one of my favorite cities ever. I love it here. I'm a little biased just because I grew, born and raised in this beautiful state of New Hampshire, but a little bit of building reverberations. We're not gonna go too crazy, just casually drive with the valves open, and then probably just take it on, of course, the ride home and a little bit of back roads. So but guys, I'm loving the car. I'm really liking each and every mod that I do. We still got to address this paint protection film, but today's video is just going to be a nice POV drive with a little bit of chit chat. In my next POV drive, I'll probably strap a microphone to the back of the car with a POV drive, so similar to this video, except we'll do external mic and you guys get to hear that raw Daza sound. So stay tuned for that, but for the sake of today's video, we'll do a nice a standard POV drive. Get this thing started for you guys. Valves open always when it starts, and that's something I can't control as much as I wish I could. So, foot on the brake, press the button. Yeah, plenty of pops and bangs and, you name it. So I did get the sport display back up. I think the last video I explained how I don't like this display, but the issue is, I just found out, was the other display does not allow the oil temperature, which is huge for me. You guys know I'm very anal about making sure my cars are all good to go when I romp on them. And while we're here, it's just, you can hear a little bit of that exhaust leak, but aside from that, it screams. Oh man, you just can't get sick of the sound of the Daza. All right. So as you guys can hear, even when you just do a normal, even a normal takeoff, it doesn't sound like a car. I mean, it does sound like a car, but it's a very loud car. It's kind of like this thundery sound. But yeah, and the beauty is with this exhaust, the biggest selling point for me when I was shopping around for things, even though I love IE, I was probably going to go IE anyway, but I'll tell you how happy I am, how quiet this exhaust can be just by the flick of a button. So we put it into comfort mode. Quiet. As a mouse, you could even say. It's really not that loud when you close the valves. This is given throttle. And then when you put in dynamic mode, that's where it disturbs the peace. It's just outrageous, and the worst thing is you get bad looks. It's just because it's loud doesn't mean it's going fast. Everyone thinks the noise means, a simple equation to speed, but it's really not that. First gear, you can romp on, enjoy the rev range without breaking the law. That's the most important thing. I think that's why I enjoy making these cars loud, is because it feels like I'm going fast when I'm really not. It just sounds like it, you know what I mean? So what we'll do here is actually we'll pop the sunroof, which actually it already is, cool. And it's just a little bit windy out, which I do apologize. We'll get some windows down, we'll do some windows up. I just hate the buffety sound. But I'll tell you, people look. It's definitely not like the Supra or all the other cars in the segment, the same price range. But it does turn heads, and for those who do know what it is, I mean, Volkswagen, Audi enthusiasts, they go nuts over this car, as I would myself. I wasn't the biggest fan of this car when it, when it came out I was, then I figured out that it was really only an A3 with a Daza. I hate saying it, but it's true. For the sake of my investment, I hate saying it, but for in all reality, it's not the wide body. The RS4, and I think every video I mention this, but the RS4 and a lot of the other RS cars had these really cool wide bodies, and this car just, it kind of lacks that. It kind of lacks that cool sporty look, but it still kind of has that flair, and the bumpers kind of give it that wideness. Oh goodness gracious, bit of a zoo. But it's funny because I don't know if people are looking at the car or the fact that there's a gentleman with a camera on his face, but yeah. Oh, it just doesn't get old. And then the downshifts, it has these cool burbles, like it snaps, crackles. It's so theatrical. It's a really cool experience driving this car. And this route specifically is kind of nice because we're gonna have a little bit of tunnels, some trees, and all the kinds of embankments that really kind of help reverberate the sound, because this thing is loud. Not that it needs it, but it really just kind of helps give you guys an idea as to how loud it is, because I know in camera it's tough to really pick it up. But so far, loving the exhaust. It really is a huge difference for those who are out there. You know, I know there's MBRPs. I think one of the cheapest options if you're looking to maintain valves, but you know, buy nice, buy twice. I'm not saying MBRP makes a bad system, but you know, those who have run it for their Golf R or their GTIs, you know, it's kind of too loud, and I don't really see many videos where they say it makes a big difference with any like valve systems from them. So I would say kind of keep it. It's just something else. We're coming up on a little tunnel over here, so we'll open that up for you guys. I prefer. Oh goodness, I didn't like that. I prefer the sunroof down, just because I can't explain why, but it just really does a great job of picking up the pure sound of this this exhaust. It is just something else. And as I mentioned, we'll go 30 miles per hour, drop it in second, and just cruise. You know, it's just It sounds so good. And again, I don't know if it's going to pick up or not. If it does, then I'm very impressed with the GoPro microphone. However, if you guys can't hear it, there's a little ticking. I got to figure out what the hell that is. It sounds like there's a leaf, but I've tried everything. I've tried, you know, hitting it with a leaf blower, and it just can't get that weird ticking, clicking sound out of the sunroof. So it may be the price you pay for buying a little bit of an older car. That's a police truck, and I hope it's not an occupied one, because I'm going to take full advantage of this tunnel. It sounds so good. We'll have to close this. I can't stand the ticking. It drives me absolutely nuts. But I don't see flashing blue lights back there yet, so I had a decent feeling that he's not coming after us yet, you know. But oh my god. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I bought the 8V, because they have all this aftermarket support all ready for it, you know. Here we go. It's like low down where it sounds like a, I don't even know what it sounds like. It's got this guttural kind of throaty sound, and then higher up is where it sort of clears the throat. It clears the throat at like 4K, and then beyond it sounds like a V10. It really does. And I would say, if anything, a lot of people say it's like a Huracan. Maybe not, just with the way the gearbox is. I would say, ooh, that guy's ripping. I would say that most comparable, you know, would be maybe a Gallardo or an E-Gear R8, you know. Only reason being is this gearbox it's not as snappy as the Huracan, where, you know, the Huracan, you can tell it's a dual clutch, you barely hear the gear change, but, you know, there is a kind of, it rocks your head, especially, you know, depends how much throttle input you have and where you shift in the RPM, because you can really kind of like rock your neck. It honestly kind of feels like it's kind of a slow gearbox. It's not. It can be very fast and very reactive. It's just, again, it's all depending on how much throttle input and of course where in the RPMs. But I like to say a nice medium throttle and kind of like higher RPMs, you can get a pretty quick shift. But when you're flooring it, there's a bit of a delay, and I think that's just because of how much boost and, you know, all that jazz. But I don't know why we're going so darn slow, fellas. Cheese and crackers. Oh, I see. Got a turner. She's not crossing, so we are good. But just like, oh, that throatiness, it sounds so good. there's just no other way of explaining it. I mean, it's just a really good sounding car. So, you know, I wish it, I know I can't even critique it. I wouldn't want it any louder. That's another thing too. I don't think I would want it any louder. There are a lot of people out there that are chasing the loudest cars ever, and you know, as good as these engines sound, it's kind of like any car. You know, if you make it too loud, it starts to sound bad. And I don't want it to sound bad. I'm very happy with how it sounds now. This is just a catback, mind you. And you get all of this drama, all this action, and you know, inside the cabin, that's another thing. Beautiful RS7 right there, check that out. S6, got two beautiful 4-liter turbocharged V8s. Oh, I still am happy with this, and I think I would probably spank that RS7 off the line. I don't know. These launch, this thing will spin all fours. I will make a launch control video at some point. You know I've always promised that, and we have done a POV launch, but we'll actually start to, you know, get some times for you guys so you guys can get an idea as to what an IE Stage 1 Audi RS3 on 93 octane gas is capable of. 0 to 60, probably won't do 60, 130, but oh, this is why I bought this car, is because of the noise. You know, I like driving fast cars, and that was, you know, it was like this or the RS5, the B8.5. But then if you kind of do the math, you know, it's like you're buying a really old car. This kind of feels like an old car too, mind you. Imagine how it would have felt in that RS5. You know, I think this interior is going to date really well. In fact, I'm actually sick of looking at that. If you're sick of looking at the technology, the fact that I can hide the fact that it's a small dated screen, that's good. And it's really not that dated. It's just a little old, you know. But the fact that I can hide that and run everything through here, I mean, in all reality, these digital screens have not gotten that much better, and we're already at the 8V.5, or sorry, 8Y.5, and you know, it's just not that much more improved, I guess you could say. Go this way. You guys, I don't know if that was the example, but that's what I'm talking about. That was like 70-80% throttle, almost to redline, and it just rocks your head when you shift. It's such a, that's just part of the experience, you know what I mean? And I don't think this DQ500 is any different in the newer RS3s. I think they're all kind of the same. You know, and as I was mentioning before, the reason why I'm really happy with this 8V purchase is, well, first and foremost, I'm saving some extra dough, you know, maybe 10 to 15,000 over the newer ones. On top of that too, you know, they all have aftermarket support. These cars all have catbacks. I know the 8Ys do now, but I have not heard an 8Y, you know, at least, you know, from a YouTuber, and I like watching YouTube. As much as I like making YouTube videos, I watch a lot of it, and I've yet to see content creators make their RS3s this loud, and I know that these 8Vs can be loud and you know, and tunable and all this, and you know, that's kind of what instilled this confidence in buying this car, is, you know, knowing that I can do that, because from factory they're good, but it's missing kind of that craziness that I'm personally looking for. And the beauty is, with some simple bolt-ons, some simple tunes, you're gonna make a really, really fun car to drive. So that's kind of just my reasoning. I hope it makes sense. I know everyone has their own reasoning, and so have you, but oh, it's just crazy. I mean, I'll do windows down for you guys, give a little taste of kind of just pure insanity. But I mean, like, even like low down, like, that's just so much louder than the Golf R or the GTI ever was, you know. So I like that. I'm a big fan of that. We'll kill traction just to make sure it doesn't cut on us, and once that light turns green, I'm telling you, we'll let our friend motorcycle go. Ripping. All right. Well, oh, it's short shifted on me. I gotta figure out why it does that. It's been, you know, I'd say it doesn't need a transmission tune, but man, would I don't need it. I like it. I think that's the one thing it's missing. I wish IE made one, but that's the only complaint. That's like the smallest complaint. You don't need a transmission tune if you're running a stock turbo. Whatever people tell you, you just don't, you know, so keep that in mind. I know a lot of people think they need it because you're coming from maybe a GTI or an R, where if you run those high torque files, you're gonna need a transmission tune. Those transmissions are really good, but they need to be, you know, the software needs to kind of read for that higher clamping force. So, you know, back to the exhaust talk. You guys know it's probably in any of the cars that I've ever modified, you know, the GTI, the Golf R, You know, and even a lot of the cars that I've reviewed, everyone says the same thing. The soul of the car is obviously the, you know, or at least the heart is the engine, the soul is the exhaust. That's kind of what gives it that excitement. And for me, you know, being able to like really kind of line this car out and hear every part of the exhaust and the engine, it's so cool. We'll do one final pull, and I will leave the video at that. But I appreciate all you guys for watching, staying tuned to this wonderful and super enjoyable RS3 build, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace and love.